Okay, so welcome to this testimonial about the Abundance Liftoff Game group coaching program. And I have my most valued dear friend and dear client, Irene Zimmerman, here to speak about her experience of the Abundance Liftoff Game. Irene, thank you so much for taking the time to share some of your experience today.
It's my pleasure, Andrea. I really enjoyed the Abundance Liftoff game, so I'm more than happy to share my story and some of the successes that I've been able to experience in the last few weeks.
Awesome. So, Irene, first of all, could you please share what is your business?
Okay, I'm a career coach, and my specialty is in career transition and also in career development. And that's something that a number of people have um, spoken to me about. It's not just people who've lost their jobs or want to change jobs. It's also people who want to perhaps progress in their careers or change careers altogether. Um, and so I came to my career coaching practice by my own experience and having been very dissatisfied in my work life when I was starting out in my career and did a lot of different jobs and realized that um, in order to be happy as a human being, I needed to find work that made me happy. And that is my goal for my clients. So there is a process involved. It is a step by step, very similar to the Abundance Liftoff game. So it's not overwhelming. And it is through my experience, my own personal experience, and the experience of working with probably about 2,000 people over the last 20 some years that brings me the success and also helps my client achieve their goals.
Definitely. So I'm hearing that you worked with over 2,000 clients prior to
Mhm.
the Abundance Liftoff game, but something was different. You were doing things in a different way, and you moved into wanting to actually start your own business. So could you please speak to what were things like? What was your situation before the Abundance Liftoff game?
Okay. Well, uh, about a year and a half ago, I was restructured out of an organization, and that was the organization that I'd spent a number of years with as a career coach. And when, like all my clients say, when they first leave their jobs, especially when they've been outsourced, is I'm never going to do that again. I want to do something totally different. And then the more research and the more experimenting I was doing, I realized that my gift is really coaching and it is really working with people and using my strengths in empathy. And, I really love the whole pain to pleasure formula. It's the overcoming the resistance and the pain of being unhappy at work or losing your job, and being able to help people through that process because you've been through that, you've been through similar experiences, you can really relate to them, and having been through a recent job loss really makes me so much more equipped to work with my clients because it's been fairly recent. I get that emotional part, and I can now um, smile at some of my clients' experiences because they're similar to mine. Um, so where I was I had a number. I'm an avid researcher, so I had researched the Abundance Liftoff game through experiencing your other master classes. And I really liked what you were doing, and I liked the people who were in those classes. And then I also looked at a couple of other programs. And because I knew I know I have a lot to offer, and I wanted um, to do something. And in talking to corporations, I realized that it had to be entrepreneurial. it had to be more authentic. I needed to make the decisions and be totally responsible. So I when I met you and was ready to talk about the abundance liftoff game, I needed to make a decision as to what I was going to do with the rest of my life. So I had lots of information, but I had difficulty processing it.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, that you've left us in a really juicy place here. So, so I know that you did decide to do the abundance liftoff game, and
Mhm.
we'll visit, how you made that decision in a minute. But first of all, I'd like to ask you, what did you achieve through the abundance liftoff game? Where did this program take you, both personally and also with starting your own business?
Well, personally, it brought me to a place of um, excitement. I was and uh, with focus and direction because Andrea has a workbook that takes you through each process. And interestingly enough, I had gone through a similar program many, many years ago, but um, you need guidance through that process. It's not something, very few people can do that on their own.
Mm.
And so it's the, your support, the people in the group, the support that they had. Um, and we had a lot of decisions to make along the way around, how are you going to schedule your time? How are people going to pay for your services? How are you going to charge for your services? Who's the ideal client? So the workbook was really handy. The weekly meetings were very handy. Um, it it just, what it was like an onion being peeled. It was every week, it was clearer and clearer where I was going to go. And so um, that was in a personal way. And I think I'm a lot more happy. I'm a lot more content. I need to be a woman with a mission. That's just who I am. On a professional level, um, I'm I am more authentic in the way that I work with my clients. I did have a few clients, but I was really stumped about how to get more of them and who to work, what kind of client would be a good fit for me. And so going through the program, that's what I was able to achieve. I was able to achieve um, a to get all my tools in place. So I now, of course, it's a learning process and I'll always be creating new tools, but I now have a business model and the tools to execute. Um, I have clients, which is really great. Um, yeah, and I know how many clients I want to have this year. I know the amount of money that I want to make this year. I know how many hours I want to work this every week. And that's a big improvement over where I was when I first started the program.
So I think what I'm hearing is that you were able to officially launch your business as a result
Yeah.
of doing this program.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I know that you were sharing some recent wins when we were chatting before this call. Did you want to share just any
Yeah.
recent wins? Because I know you're really excited about what's happening with your business now.
Yeah. Well, and I think everybody who runs a business is always thinking, well, how am I going to find my next client? What's going to happen? And today, for example, a coach I had worked with through another program, it's called Positive Intelligence. He referred his wife to me, which is wait, I was very honored when she called, and then two former clients of mine reconnected with me. They were part of the business launch actually, and they both reached out and want to work with me on on their own career journeys. One of them is planning for retirement. The other one is going into a whole new field. Um, and I mean, the business launch was so exciting. When I think about it, I still get really excited. Because, Andrea and I really, really worked on that for 3 weeks, like really, um, it was full tilt. And it was a very exciting time for me, but the feedback from the clients, or the people who were part of the business launch was just exceptional. So it's like one of those, um, I think, magical moments, definitely for me.
Beautiful. It was a pleasure to host your business launch.
It was a fun day, wasn't it? A
It
fun
was.
hour.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
So Irene, obviously a lot changed as a
Mhm.
result of doing this program,
Yeah.
but you had some difficulty in, it was challenging for you to make the decision whether to sign up for it or not. So could
Mhm.
you share a bit about your decision-making process around signing up for this?
Okay. Well, I think anything that requires a lot of time and money is a big stressor for me. Um, and so when I had mentioned earlier, I had three different programs, the Abundance Liftoff Game being one of them, and so I went through all the pros and cons of each of those um, programs, and I used two ways of looking at it in terms of um, all three were pretty big investments in time, but definitely in money. So I felt I had to be very wise about that decision. And so um, the one thing that became very evident is that the other two programs were great, and I could possibly take them, but the reality is if I would have taken either one of them, I would have had to go into the Abundance Liftoff Game, because what you provided, they didn't, and that was that step-by-step process over 3 months to actually get you to a place where you're either your your business has been launched, or if you already have a business and it's doing well, it's now thriving. And the other two programs did not offer that. Um, and the one, um, Tara Swart, who is a neuroscientist, has a way of making decisions. And what she does is she walks 7 steps in front of her, turns back and looks at where she would be today and says, where do you see yourself in 7 years? And I could see myself having completed the Abundance Liftoff Game and actually having something tangible at the end of it, um, to have a thriving business. And so that was the big differentiator. And the other thing too is I don't think you could find a coach who is as supportive and relational as Andrea is.
Thank
Seriously.
you.
Yeah. I feel like we've become friends. And
Yes.
I want to be part of the whole Blue Lotus um, group. And so this isn't a one-off and I'll see you later kind of deal.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
it's a beginning of a relationship.
Yeah. And you're part of this community.
Yes. Yeah. And that's also very big, especially for entrepreneurs working in a Zoom world today, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We need
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And I am offering community through the Blue Lotus Network.
Yeah.
So Irene, um, I think maybe what would be important to touch on before we complete is what if somebody is considering the program, they're not sure about it? What would be your advice to them?
What I would say is write down the questions or the concerns that you have, because there are always going to be some concerns, and then have a couple of conversations with Andrea, because that's one of the things that um, I felt really supported by, was the fact that we did have a number of conversations, and you were okay with all of my objections and my resistance, and it gave me the opportunity to um, delve into why I was so hesitant, but I was able to, you gave me the time and the space to make my decision, but you were also there to answer all the questions, and you were available to me
Definitely.
during
It's
that time.
important to me that people, it's clear that this is a good fit for people. That's
Yeah,
important to me, and I'm more than happy to invest the time and, having a few brief calls, to,
yeah.
check in, answer questions. So thank you for bringing that up, because it's good for people to know that I do make myself available for that.
Yes, you do.
So, Irene, you are amazing, and your business is amazing and thriving. And I really thank you for taking this time today to share about your experience for others who may be considering the Abundance Liftoff game. So thank you so much, Irene.
Oh, you're welcome, Andrea. I'm definitely here to support you as well in your Abundance Liftoff game moving forward.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.